Have a real good time. Come to the Cayman Islands. Come get a go and leave the world behind. You may think it's a dream when you wake up in the morning and the air is fresh and clean. You know what I mean? And when it's all said and done, you'll be talking all about this island in the sun. To everyone in return, come to the Cayman Islands, exchange your troubles for some peace of mind. Come to the Cayman Islands, come let me show you how we wine and dine. Come to the Cayman Islands, come meet some people, have a real good time. Come to the Cayman Islands, come get it, go and leave the world behind.
One of the premier international fly-ins for general aviation in the world, the Cayman Caravan, takes you to one of the magnificent destinations in the Caribbean, the Cayman Islands. Now, Current Productions brings that event to you and takes you flying down to the Cayman Islands with the Cayman Caravan. Cayman Islands Tourism welcomes and strongly encourages general aviation pilots to fly their own aircraft to the islands and take advantage of the easy access to the splendid vacation opportunities available there. In fact, the Cayman Islands sponsors an International Aviation Week every year in June. This event has taken place for more than 10 years. In response to this stimulus for general aviation, the Cayman Caravan was organized in 1991 by Ross Russo and Paul Bertorelli. Its purpose is to assist and encourage pilots to experience the thrill of flying to the Caymans from Key West with the camaraderie of an organized caravan. This event has now grown to include over 100 aircraft every year. The Cayman Islands are almost directly south of Key West, Florida, about 330 nautical miles, well within the reach of most general aviation aircraft. The route takes you directly over Cuba. Fly over Cuba, you say? Isn't that dangerous for Americans? Not at all. To the contrary, you'll see that it's quite routine. And why do we want to go there? For pilots, the opportunity to float along the pristine coral walls of the Caymans, neutrally buoyant, is a thrill akin to flying. Here you can see other hydrodynamic creatures also flying, but in a denser medium. Accommodations and dining in the Caymans are first class, not only on Grand Cayman, but also on the sister islands as well. At the same time, deserted beaches, rugged shorelines, and attractions for all tastes abound. Although first discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1503, the islands remained uninhabited until the late 1600s, when they became a British colony. After that, a mixed bag of settlers began to arrive, including deserters from Cromwell's army in Jamaica, refugees from the Spanish Inquisition, and shipwrecked sailors and pirates. They are the ancestors of today's Caymanians. The Caymans became a popular hideout for pirates, including Edward Teach, known as Blackbeard, and Henry Morgan. The islands were also a source of food for passing ships due to the large supply of turtles. The depletion of the turtle population became severe and is only now being corrected. Befitting their British heritage, the Caymanians are renowned for their courteous and civil manners. This heritage is reflected in such events as their annual celebration of the Queen's birthday, which took place this year during International Aviation Week. Key West, Florida is a logical jumping-off point for general aviation flights to the Cayman Islands. Being the southernmost point in the continental United States, with an excellent general aviation airport and a fixed-based operator, it is on the most direct route to the islands. Key West itself is a quaint and interesting place to spend some time while preparing for the departure. Its historical sites include the home of Ernest Hemingway, where he wrote some of his most important books, and the vacation home of President Harry Truman, which was then known as the Little White House. Streets are lined with huge banyan and mahogany trees and beautiful flowers. Old Key West contains many historical and colonial homes that are worthwhile seeing. The exploits and memorabilia of Hemingway are still preserved, in fact, at Sloppy Joe's Bar on Duval Street for visitors who really identify with his lifestyle. Arrival of the 100-plus general aviation aircraft that make up the Caravan begins 1 to 2 days before departure. They are well taken care of by the local fixed-based operator, Island City Flying Service. Space on the ramp is at a premium for this large number of aircraft, but Island City makes maximum use of space available with their powerful and maneuverable tugs. Fuel orders are taken on arrival to ensure readiness on departure morning. A vital service provided by Island City is rental of survival equipment, including rafts and life jackets. This equipment is a requirement for participation in the Caravan. The Holiday Inn Beachside in Key West is the headquarters hotel for the Cayman Caravan. Located conveniently close to the airport, this hotel provides both comfortable quarters for pilots and their passengers, plus ample accommodations for caravan processing and briefings. Shortly after arrival at the Holiday Inn, Caravan pilots and their passengers go through a brief in-processing procedure. Here they receive all the paperwork necessary for arrival and departure from the Caymans and return to the U.S. This includes such items as general declarations, custom forms, and immigration cards, which will be discussed later in the video. If you travel with the Caravan, all this paperwork will be completed for you using information gathered on your application. All you have to do is sign them. Some of the standard requirements for a general aviation aircraft to make international flights are dictated by U.S. Customs, such as the 12-inch registration numbers and the external registration tag. Proof of citizenship for every person on board the aircraft, that is, a passport or birth certificate, is required by all foreign governments and by U.S. Customs on re-entry. The same is true of pilots' papers and aircraft paperwork. For survival gear, governments require a life jacket for every person on board. The Caravan requires that each aircraft carry a life raft large enough to accommodate all persons on the aircraft. Signaling mirrors and survival equipment aboard the aircraft are desirable as well. The requirement for a raft makes sense not only from an in-water survival standpoint, but also a rescue standpoint. A large, brightly colored object is much more likely to be seen by rescue aircraft or ships than just heads bobbing in the water. However, the risk of ditching at sea is extremely small, and no one in the history of the Caravan has ever had to do so. Nevertheless, it is an eventuality that pilots and passengers should be prepared for. Both the Caravan and Cuban ATC require that Cuban overflight be on an IFR flight plan. Therefore, both the aircraft and its pilot must be IFR current. A suggestion for pilots who may not be IFR rated or current: there are probably plenty of CFIs that would be happy to make the trip with you. If you fly to the Caymans with the Caravan, the staff will have arranged both your outbound and return Cuban permits and your international flight plans. The Cuban flight permits are good for an entire Zulu day, both for departure and return. Your return flight plan is part of the package that you receive during your Key West arrival processing. You are responsible for your own weather briefing, obtainable from Miami Flight Service. However, the Caravan will provide a weather briefing the evening before departure and have someone from Flight Service on hand at Caravan Control on departure day. We are discussing trip preparation in terms of services provided by the Cayman Caravan. If you intend to plan your own Cayman Island flight at another time, the necessary information for obtaining your own permits and other requirements will be provided in a brief postscript at the end of this video. The day before departure, the Caravan conducts informal briefings and demonstrations on life rafts, signal mirrors, and other equipment. These are conducted poolside at the Holiday Inn. The Caravan staff considers the possession of a signaling mirror so important that they provide one for every aircraft registered for the Caravan. It is also recommended that the pilot and passengers wear their life jackets while flying over water. They are not uncomfortable, and it's just another way of being prepared in advance. Final preparation for the Caravan departure is a pre-flight briefing at 6 p.m. held in the banquet room of the Holiday Inn Beachside the evening prior to departure day. A delicious meal is served by the Holiday Inn staff prior to the briefing. The briefing is conducted by the two founders of the Cayman Caravan, former Air Force pilot and now airline pilot Ross Russo, and Paul Bertorelli, editor of IFR Magazine and Aviation Consumer Magazine. Of course, a complex operation the size of the Cayman Caravan could not be carried out by just two people. It has a sizable, hard-working volunteer staff, and these people are introduced to the Caravan audience by Ross Russo. Following this, Paul Bertorelli briefs the pilots on the departure schedule, departure procedures, frequencies, clearances, route of flight, and what to expect from Cuban air traffic control.
Change in frequency. Tomorrow it will be 119.25. So write that down somewhere. 119.25 is the departure frequency. When you check onto that frequency, just give your tail number, tell him your IFR to Grand Cayman. He will immediately come back with your clearance.
The Caravan operates on a carefully orchestrated schedule with departures every few minutes throughout the day. Aircraft depart and make the trip in groups of 4 in trail with 3 to 5 minute spacing between aircraft. Each flight group is designated an alphabetical designator, and each aircraft has its own call sign, Alpha 1, Alpha 2, etc. On the morning of departure day, Ross Russo directs bus departure from the Holiday Inn. Departures are closely coordinated with flight schedules. Thus, there is no need for pilots and passengers to sit around the FBO office awaiting their departure time. They can remain in the comfort of the Holiday Inn until their flight is called. The schedule permits plenty of time for pre-flight, loading passengers, luggage, and startup. Caravan control today is Paul Bertorelli. He coordinates departures with Key West Tower, Key West Approach, Miami Center, Havana Center, and also with Ross Russo at the Holiday Inn. Talk about busy. As the morning wears on, the departure schedule begins to slip a bit due to traffic congestion in Key West and at the Giron corridor over Cuba. Bertorelli alleviates some of the congestion by assigning turbocharged aircraft such as our Mooney 231 higher altitudes. We are assigned to flight level 120, or 12,000 feet. Also at Caravan Control is Charles Robinson from Miami Flight Service, who is giving us continual updates on weather over the route by means of faxed satellite images. Although there are scattered buildups along the route, the weather is actually excellent for this time of year. At last, it's our turn to launch. We are Papa 1 of Papa Flight, the last flight group for today. We are Papa 1 because our aircraft is the fastest in our group. Following in order of speed capability are a Turbo Arrow, a Cherokee 6, and a 172.
Hotel, make a right crosswind departure and contact approach on 119.25.
Approach on 119.25.
294 Hotel, radar contact 1 mile south to International.
94 Hotel.
Mooney 94 Hotel, cleared to the Grand Caymans as filed. Climb maintain 12000. Proceed direct Tadpo.
Climb maintain 12000. Proceed direct Tadpo 94 Hotel. Havana Center, Mooney 35904 Hotel with you, climbing to 12000.
3594 Hotel, operator contact, continue flying to flight level 120.
Say again, frequency?
You are on radar contact. You are cleared to maintain flight level 120.
Flight level 120, 94 Hotel.
Now we are level at our assigned altitude, flight level 120. In Cuban airspace, flight levels start at 8,000 feet, so we set our altimeter accordingly at 29.92. We will be flying through what is known as the Giron Corridor, the westernmost of 3 flight corridors for transiting aircraft across Cuba. It lies just east of Havana and passes over the popular resort area of Varadero on the north coast, over Cuba's Matanzas province just to the west of the Bay of Pigs on the south, and over Cayo Largo del Sur, an island resort south of the main island. As we approach the north coast, we see the Varadero Resort and its major airport.
65 Romeo with you with you 6,000 for 8,000.
1765 Romeo, 1 radar contact, maintain 80.
1765 Romeo, maintain flight level 80.
Cuban IFR procedures are straightforward and much like our own. The controllers speak excellent English and are very friendly. In this picture taken by Bert and Ross on a planning trip made to Havana last year are many of the Cuban ATC personnel who work these flights. The lady on the left is Marinela Hernandez, chief of Havana Center, and Maria, seated, is the controller you're hearing on the radio. Although flights are restricted to a designated corridor, pilots can feel free to deviate for weather. Just let the controllers know and they're happy to give you approval. Another thing you should be aware of is that if you have a problem which would require a precautionary landing, don't hesitate to land in Cuba. There are major airports along the route such as Varadero, Havana, and Cayo Largo. It has happened on a couple of occasions to Caravan pilots. The Cubans were courteous and helpful and quickly got the pilots back on their way.
Yes, okay, and tell me your complete call sign.
November 8742 Echo, 8,000 feet.
I got it. I have your radar contact, and just now I'm reading you loud and clear.
Wonderful. We've been worried because we couldn't hear you. Thank you so much.
All the time, sir. All the time I'm reading you loud and clear.
Occasionally, there may be a loss of radio contact between Havana and an aircraft or vice versa. However, the Cubans are used to it, and all you have to do is ask for other pilots to assist with relays. At or north of a 2V intersection, which is 43 DME north of Grand Cayman, you will be handed off to Grand Cayman Approach.
Center 94 Hotel.
Contact Grand Cayman 120.2. Go ahead.
Contact Cayman Approach on 120.2, roger.
In our case, we were handed off considerably north of a 2V. We were unable to contact Grand Cayman Approach for some time.
904 Hotel. Say your distance from Grand Cayman and altitude now.
1,500 hours, net report to Quebec. 3594 Hotel is flight level 120.
Roger, say your DME from Grand Cayman now.
DME from Grand Cayman are 63 nautical miles.
35904 Hotel, roger, next report. 43 DME from Grand Cayman.
43 from Grand Cayman, 94 Hotel. And I'd like to cancel my IFR now.
35904 Hotel, IFR flight plan canceled, time 09er.
There is no radar service on Grand Cayman, so you're on your own. They use non-radar IFR separation methods, so to minimize arrival delays, it is advisable to cancel IFR if weather permits. Descending into Grand Cayman, we get a view of the western end of the island. The fishhook-shaped west end of the Grand Cayman is the location of the 7-mile beach, along which most of the major hotels and dive operations are located. We have 7 Mile Beach inside and beyond a cruise ship anchored off Georgetown, the population center of Grand Cayman. We are on final approach to runway 8 at Owen Roberts International Airport, the main port of entry to the Cayman Islands. It is the home base of Cayman Airways, the national flag carrier of the Cayman Islands. We have arrived. Who says you need a 747 to travel to exotic places? We're immediately met at our plane by a van. They gather our luggage, help park our aircraft, and transport us to the Cayman Airways hangar. Our first stop is the Customs and Immigration desks, which are set up in the Cayman Airways hangar. This special setup for Caravan arrivals makes the clearance process quick and easy. We present the documents pre-prepared by the Caravan staff, including general declarations, immigration cards, and passports. A quick glance by the official shows that they are all in order, they're stamped, and we're ready to depart for our hotel. The current productions crew has checked in at our headquarters hotel while on Grand Cayman, the Clarion Grand Pavilion. One of the flagship hotels of the Clarion chain, it opens the door to luxury. Its beautifully appointed rooms and excellent service offer many special touches designated to make guests feel right at home. It puts us right in the midst of opportunities for diving and directly across from the beautiful 7 Mile Beach. Even with its central location, this hotel provides a relaxing atmosphere totally set apart from its busy surroundings with a secluded pool and jacuzzi in its courtyard. Just off the courtyard is a fine restaurant and lounge. If you choose, you can keep in touch with the rest of the world with a faxed summary of the news from the New York Times delivered early every morning. One of our first priorities is to visit the Whitehall Bay restaurant. Dining there recalls a previous visit to its predecessor, the Cook Room, which served delicious turtle steaks. The tradition continues at Whitehall Bay, which features a hearty West Indian menu. An unusual dish, turtle steak is complemented with a good red wine. Caymanian-style lobster is another specialty featured on their menu. Family dining at this shoreside restaurant attests to its popularity. The premier attraction, of course, in the Caymans is its pristine underwater world. The Caymans boast world-class wall diving. For pilots, especially sailplane pilots, wall diving has to be a thrill close to soaring on ridge lift. Neutrally buoyant, divers soar along walls festooned with hard corals, intricate deep sea fans, and colorful sponges. Below is a blue void thousands of feet deep. We join Resort Sports Diving on their dive boat Stingray to soar the walls off North Sound in Grand Cayman. World-famous Stingray City has to be visited to be believed. Swarming with fish life, this shallow dive is an attraction that can be enjoyed by snorkelers as well as divers. Don't miss it. You don't have to be a diver or even a snorkeler to enjoy the underwater world of the Caymans. A unique attraction, the Atlantis submarine, provides the opportunity for non-divers to visit the coral and sea life below. This vessel carries 42 passengers to depths as deep as any reached by scuba. While cruising along the underwater world, the crew gives an insight into the undersea world. The Atlantis is a fully certified underwater vessel. It and its sister ships have been operating safely at prime underwater locations for a decade or more. The Turtle Farm, located on Northwest Point, is one of Grand Cayman's main tourist attractions. The Turtle Farm was started as a conservation program to reverse the trend toward extinction of the once plentiful turtle population of the islands and the surrounding Caribbean. Both a conservation and commercial enterprise, it releases most of its stock out to sea but also provides turtles to the local restaurants. The latter endeavor goes a long way to make the farm self-supporting. Here you'll see turtles of all ages, from hatchlings to huge 500-pounders in the breeding stock. A selected group of young turtles are set aside to be handled by children and picked up for pictures. The turtle species bred here include the green sea turtle, once close to extinction, loggerhead, hawksbill, and Ridley sea turtles. It is interesting to note that the tagging system used to track turtles after release was developed by researchers from our home state of Arizona. After the second day of arrivals, the Caravan is here, and they are enjoying an arrival cocktail party and dinner, compliments of the Cayman Department of Tourism at the headquarters hotel, the Radisson. The camaraderie of pilots talking about their favorite subject, airplanes, and the flight down over Cuba is evident everywhere. For a gracious dining experience while on Grand Cayman, Chef Tell's Grand Old House should not be missed. It is located on South Church Street, Georgetown. Operated by celebrity Chef Tell Earhart in a historic house dating back to the 1880s, it features continental entrees plus delicious local seafood recipes. This restaurant received an award of excellence for its wine cellar from Wine Spectator magazine. The outstanding service, fine food, and wine can be enjoyed in the gazebo or on the veranda, both overlooking the tranquil Caribbean. The Grand Old House lives up to its name and reputation. To get around to all the great places on Grand Cayman, it's recommended that you rent a car. All the major car rental agencies have offices in the main terminal, but they will come pick you up at the General Aviation Terminal. A unique rental is this sporty Jeep-like vehicle, which is made in India. A reminder, driving in the Caymans is British style, on the left, so get yourself mentally prepared for that. Many of the rental cars have the U.S. left-hand drive, and this may be the easiest way to go because you won't have to get used to the reversed controls in addition to driving on the left side of the road. The next day, we're on our way to the sister island of Little Cayman. Little Cayman and the other sister island, Cayman Brac, lie about 85 nautical miles to the east of Owen Roberts Field, with Brac being the furthest. As its name implies, Little Cayman is the smallest of the three islands and by far the least populated. The permanent population is about 70, with perhaps a few hundred more non-permanent residents employed in the tourist trade. The unhurried ambiance of the island is evident in the local road signs. The airstrip named Baden Field is gravel and turf. The Cayman Caravan Pilot's Guide advises extreme caution in using this airstrip, particularly for aircraft with low prop and gear door clearance. After having landed there twice with our Mooney, we have to second that. The runway is oriented 1028 with 3,000 feet supposedly usable. At present, only runway 10 is usable on the gravel center line for about the first 2,000 feet. The turf on the east end is quite rough, as is the turf on the extreme right and left sides of the runway. Taxi with care. For run-up and initial takeoff roll, there is a smooth mode area on the right side of 10, which is quite suitable for running to full power and to begin the roll for a short field takeoff. The situation with the airport is apparently going to change because the land is for sale, and we hear the government is planning to build a new paved airstrip. Good for pilots, but maybe not so good for the isolation of Little Cayman. Presently, Island Air flies Twin Otters into Baden Field daily, so there's good access for those who want to take advantage of the lovely resorts and great diving on Little Cayman. Located on the southwest corner of the island, quite near the airstrip, is Pirates Point. It is quite possibly one of the best small, intimate, and informal resorts in the Caribbean. But don't let the idea of small and informal fool you. The resort is owned and operated by Gladys Howard, who is also an award-winning chef and a graduate of the Cordon Bleu in Paris. Gladys has also studied with Julia Child, James Beard, and Jacques Pepin. The resort's relaxed schedule revolves around Gladys' 3 daily gourmet meals. It has 10 spacious rooms with private baths in cottages spaced about at 7 acres on a beautiful white sandy beachfront. The uniquely guest-decorated bar is a result of an annual contest run by Gladys for the best guest-designed sign using only local beach-combed materials. The winner receives a free full-week stay at Pirates Point. Gladys's personal style of management makes Pirates Point more like a home away from home for her guests. She offers 2 all-inclusive packages. The Just Relaxing package, which besides the deluxe rooms, 3 gourmet meals, and wine with the evening meal, includes the liberal use of hammocks and chaise lounges. Speaking of relaxation, what a way to unwind. Just take in a gorgeous Cayman sunset with cocktail in hand, anticipating Gladys's gourmet dinner. The all-inclusive dive package, of course, includes all of the aforementioned plus 2 boat dives daily on the resort's new 42-foot Newton dive boat, the Yellow Rose 3. The name derives from the fact that Gladys is a native of Tyler, Texas, and is the recipient of the Yellow Rose of Texas, the state's highest award given for women. The new boat is large and spacious, easily accommodating all of the dive guests from the resort. It is equipped with camera tables and freshwater showers. Diving here is also on a personalized basis because of the low ratio of divers to dive personnel. Divers around the world consider Little Cayman's Bloody Bay Wall one of the ultimate dive sites in the world. There are lush coral gardens, giant sponges, elaborate sea fans, and abundant fish life, both large and small. Such famous names in the dive world as Cousteau, Bouvelet, and Waterman have acclaimed the diving here as the best in the Caribbean. We'll let you judge for yourself. Back on Grand Cayman, the activities of International Aviation Week continue. There are aviation safety seminars, including a water survival demonstration in the Treasure Island Resort Pool. The feature attraction is the annual air show held just offshore from the public section of 7 Mile Beach. It's a popular show, as evidenced by the crowd on the beach. The following day, some of the members of the Caravan fly to Cayman Brac for what is called the Brac Attack, a short overwater hop. This is an opportunity for Caravan pilots to experience the sister islands and get a taste of old-time Cayman, have a leisurely lunch, and tour the island. Quite a number of caravanners take advantage of this trip. The usual landing fees, by the way, are waived. On Monday, June 17, we have the opportunity to witness on Grand Cayman a unique piece of British tradition that can't be duplicated anywhere except in London or in one of the British colonies. It is the annual celebration of the Queen's birthday. A parade is reviewed and troops inspected by the Honorable John Owen, Governor of the Cayman Islands. Leading the parade is a contingent from the frigate HMS Argyle, which is making a port call for the occasion. The Queen's birthday is also the occasion for the presentations of the Queen's honors for outstanding service to the Crown. The Governor presents these awards. Immediately following the completion of the awards ceremony, the celebration continues with a reception at Government House, the Governor's residence on West Bay Road. With a delicious buffet and several kiosks serving refreshments, this is an elegant affair in location and dress. The brilliantly beautiful poinciana trees in bloom provide a lovely setting.
Bloodsucker, you Dracula. Funnin' it, funnin' it, funnin' out. She funnin' it, funnin' it, funnin' out. You funnin' it, funnin' it, funnin' out. You funnin' it, funnin' it, funnin'. Miss Lady, where's on the biter? Right there, but how you can't fight me? You're my strong, you won't fight me. Where you fight before, sonny.
Among the attendees are prominent local citizens, retired soldiers, the captain and officers of the Argyle, plus the sailors who marched in the parade. The Governor circulates among the guests, stopping to chat with the ladies. Following the Queen's birthday celebration, we're on our way to Cayman Brac for our final sister island visit. Cayman Brac has an excellent airport with a 6,000-foot runway and is tower controlled on frequency 118.4, as they say in the islands. It is served directly by Cayman Airways on some flights from the U.S. The tower at Brac also monitors flights in and out of Little Cayman on the same frequency and provides traffic information once they're airborne. Until recently, Brac was listed as having no avgas. However, this has changed. And although we do not actually purchase any, the attendant we talk with says they have fuel for sale. But double check this before you depend on it. The population of Cayman Brac dwarfs that of Little Cayman, with about 1,300 permanent residents. Still nothing like Grand Cayman, which has about 30,000. It still qualifies as being old-time Cayman with small villages and individual residences dotting the island. The resort dive operations are clustered on the west end near the airport. The most prominent feature of the island is the bluff, which gradually rises from west to east and forms the spine of the island. On the eastern end, the bluff rises steeply to 150 feet on the northern side and terminates in a sheer cliff on the east end. The word Brac in the island's name is the Gaelic word for bluff. Roads run along the north and south shorelines until the steepness of the bluff defeats them. The only access to the bluff itself is a one-lane gravel road in good condition, which runs along the spine of the island to the lighthouse on the east end. Pollard Bay is the furthest point on the South Road. Those with a beachcombing spirit will enjoy exploring the cobblestone beaches and caves of the bluff on Cayman Brac. Who knows, you may even discover some of Blackbeard's buried treasure out there. The Brac Caribbean Village is a complex of privately owned condominiums whose owners spend only part of the year here. They recoup their costs by renting them the remainder of the time. The condos are spacious and comfortable, each with 2 bedrooms, living room, and fully equipped kitchen. Both the living room and bedrooms have balconies with views of the western Caribbean Sea. There is a restaurant, the Captain's Table, just on the other side of the pool. Brac Aquatics has a small branch office in the village complex. They'll arrange your diving for you. From your balcony, you can easily see where you'll board the Brac Aquatics dive boat. Brac Aquatics is one of the most well-known and reputable dive operators in the Caymans. It ranks very high in Rodale's Scuba Diving Reader's Choice. With their boat, the Outrunner, they dive both Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. We are returning to Grand Cayman, where we will spend our last day in the islands shooting some final video locations and making preparations for departure. On the way back, we encounter some cumulus buildups, which are interesting to look at and quite easy to avoid. All in all, the weather has been excellent on this trip. There have been numerous isolated thunder showers, which are normal for early summer, and we have encountered 1 or 2 showers on the ground where umbrellas were helpful, but nothing that even remotely threatened our flying schedule. Weather information is available both in printouts in the international format and satellite maps from the internet. The latter is especially valuable for over-water flights. Our last dining experience in the Caymans is the Cracked Conch restaurant. The Cracked Conch recently moved to its new, more spacious quarters on Northwest Point Road, just past the Turtle Farm. They feature a large and varied conch menu from chowder to conch steak, even conch linguine. Caymanian-style fish, lobster, shrimp, crab, and turtle dishes are but a few tantalizing offerings from the menu. The bar is a popular Friday night gathering place, and the deck overlooking the Caribbean is a relaxing spot for lunch. One subject we haven't touched upon as yet is that you should be prepared to pay landing fees each time you land at airports in the Caymans, except Little Cayman. Typically, the fee is 10 Cayman dollars for light aircraft. Parking fees are $5 per aircraft for whatever period you are on the ground. A $5 navigation fee is charged for arrival and for inter-island flights. And on departure, your passengers will pay $8 departure tax per person. All fees are in Cayman dollars, equivalent to $1.25 U.S. Returning to Key West for the Caravan is at each pilot's option. Cuban permits are secured by the Caravan staff, and U.S. Customs is notified according to the time specified in our pre-trip application. The route of flight is simply the reverse of the route we flew down. We hear Ross Russo in Comanche 57 Yankee reporting a Tuvi and being handed off to Havana Center.
Grand Cayman, point Comanche 8057 Yankee, a Tuvi.
8057 Yankee Cayman, roger. Contact Havana 133.7. If unable, try 123.7. Good day.
1337, if unable, 1237, 57 Yankee.
The afternoon departures encounter some buildups over Cuba, but nothing that couldn't be easily circumnavigated. Crossing the north coast of Cuba, we see the narrow peninsula that is the Veradero Resort area. We're on final approach to Key West. This is the U.S. Customs facility at Key West. We present the pre-prepared arrival report form, copies of the pilot's paperwork, license, medical, and aircraft registration. Being on time with our arrival and having all papers in order will almost guarantee a trouble-free re-entry. This concludes our fun Cayman Caravan trip. However, in the next few minutes, we will review the procedures for flying to the Cayman Islands on your own without the help of Caravan staff. And now, a review of the requirements and documentation and planning necessary for you to fly to the Cayman Islands by yourself without the assistance of the Cayman Caravan. These are the standard requirements for international flights, which we showed you earlier. Thorough planning and preparation beforehand really greases the skids on re-entry to the U.S. Be sure to make a copy on a single sheet of your pilot's license and medical and aircraft registration, because U.S. Customs will want to see them. Make sure that you and your passengers have proof of citizenship with you and that you have 12-inch registration numbers and an external registration tag on your aircraft. We emphasize that you obtain survival gear, life jackets, and a raft large enough for all persons on board. Always wear proper clothing when flying over water. That means long pants, which will protect your legs from sunburn, and of course your life jacket. Be sure your survival gear includes a signaling mirror. There are some special requirements for overflying Cuba en route to the Caymans. Cuba requires your aircraft to be on an IFR flight plan, and therefore the pilot in command and the aircraft must be IFR current. You must have a Cuban overflight permit. We'll cover that shortly. As with all other international flights, you must be on an international flight plan filed through Miami Flight Service. To return, you will use the ICAO form, so familiarize yourself with the form that we include with this video. How does an individual pilot obtain a Cuban overflight permit? Well, the easiest way is to utilize one of the three options listed on your screen: Dispatch Services in Miami, or Jeppesen Data Plan Services, or Cayman Civil Aviation. These organizations know the ropes and the legalities involved in obtaining the permit and are accustomed to dealing with the Cuban civil aviation. A pilot may contact Cuba individually, but if fees are to be paid, they must be paid in Canadian funds to avoid running afoul of U.S. law and/or state and Treasury Department regulations. There is a significant difference in the fees charged by Jeppesen and Dispatch Services. Why this is so is not completely clear. Jeppesen explains that their fees include their own service fee of $75 plus substantial permit fees that they must pay the Cuban government, as well as communications costs. On the other hand, Dispatch Services states that they pay nothing to Cuba, and their fee merely covers their own costs. A third method of obtaining a permit is to contact Cayman Civil Aviation at the number you see on your screen and ask them for assistance. We've been told that they will do this, but you must expect that this process will involve a fair amount of expense in telephone and/or fax charges. Cuba has 3 flight corridors for overflight traffic. There are the Western Giron Corridor, the Central Maya Corridor, and the Eastern Nuevas Corridor. The route to the Caymans passes through the Giron Corridor just east of Havana. Formally, the route of the flight is the Gulf 448 Airway, which is shown in the sketch on your screen. From Key West direct to Tadpo intersection, the handoff point to Havana Center. From Tadpo Gulf 448 to Varder, VOR. From Varder through Giron Corridor to Cayo Largo del Sur, VOR. Thence to Atuvi intersection, the handoff point to Grand Cayman Approach, and thence to Grand Cayman. And now, the documentation required for entry and exit to the Cayman Islands. The General Declaration Form is used by all Caribbean countries to document travel in and out of the country. This document identifies your aircraft, its crew, passengers, and arrival and departure times. In the Caymans, 1 copy each is required for customs, immigration, the pilot's copy, plus 1 for flight operations on departure. We provide a blank copy of the General Declaration Form with this video so that you can reproduce it as many times as you need and complete them in advance of your arrival and departure. The immigration card is issued to each person entering the country. It is your permission to be in the country for the stated period of time, and it must be surrendered on departure. Like every other country in the Caribbean, the aeronautical facilities are at least partially supported by user fees, and the Caymans have their share. The fees are not exorbitant and amount to only a small portion of the flying costs. Be sure that you've paid all your fees before you depart. Here are the procedures for the return to the United States. When you are planning your return without the help of the Caravan staff, these are the steps that you must follow. Be sure that you call U.S. Customs and give them your return ETA estimate before you depart the Caymans. Call to file your border crossing flight plan with Miami Flight Service. If you try to do these steps in the air when you get within radio range, you probably won't be able to give the required 1 hour's notice. In fact, if you re-enter at Key West, you will only be about 45 miles away when you are handed off from Havana Center, so make the notifications by telephone. When you are handed off, as soon as you're able, call Miami Radio and activate your previously filed border crossing flight plan. This is where you can update your ETA if things haven't gone according to schedule. Have them notify Customs of any changes in your ETA. The procedures upon arrival at U.S. Customs are shown here and are straightforward. We can't show you the actual entry process because U.S. Customs does not allow their agents to be filmed. Just make sure you follow directions and be polite and cooperative. The attitudes displayed by the agents has improved tremendously in the last few years, and most are very helpful and friendly. We include the private aircraft arrival report form with this video so that you may have it completed on your arrival. If you have not passed through U.S. Customs with your aircraft during the current calendar year, you will be required to pay the annual $25 U.S. Customs user's fee. You will receive an annual decal which is valid for your aircraft for the rest of the year, no matter who the pilot is. Upon completion of U.S. Customs clearance, you will reload your baggage, and at Key West, the FBO Island City Flying Service will tow your aircraft to their ramp where you can start up and depart or refuel, depending on your needs. We recommend obtaining these two U.S. Customs documents, which are very useful. They're both available from AOPA Flight Operations and are normally included in their package for international flyers. Also included is the Standard Customs Declaration Form. The charts necessary to make the trip are readily available. For VFR, the World Aeronautical Chart CH-25 covers southern Florida and Key West. CJ-26 covers the remainder over Cuba and onto the Caymans. The Jeppesen Caribbean Trip Kit is highly recommended for this trip, not only because it contains the en route charts, area charts, and approach plates necessary for the IFR flight plan, but because it also contains a wealth of information on flying to the Caribbean, including ICAO flight rules, air traffic control procedures, and entry requirements. Shown here is a list of resource materials useful for the pilot flying down to the Caribbean. The Bahamas and Caribbean Flight Guide provides a great deal of information on its subject area, including airport diagrams and fuel availability, plus background information including accommodations. Its area of coverage includes Jamaica and the Caymans. The Caribbean Flight Guide is also excellent in giving airport diagrams and brief information for the entire Caribbean down to Trinidad. The International Flight Information Manual summarizes in a very concise manner personal and aircraft entry requirements, embassy addresses and telephone numbers, and airports of entry. It's available from the U.S. Government Printing Office, but a preferable source is the AOPA Flight Operations Office, which will send you copies of only those pages applicable to the countries of the Caribbean. These are a few tips on travel to the Caymans. Be sure you're prepared for the tropics by bringing hats, sunglasses, and sunblock. A wonderful vacation can be ruined by overexposure to the tropic sun. Although the mode of dress is mostly casual, shorts, t-shirts, and sandals, there can be occasions when you may want to have something a little dressier, such as a sport coat, a shirt, and for the ladies, a light summer dress. Be aware of the fact that prices are almost always given in Cayman dollars, which are worth 1.25 US dollars, so be prepared to pay a little extra. Here are a list of frequencies you will be using as well as some useful telephone numbers. We've discussed most of these elsewhere in the video. However, this consolidated list will serve as a reminder to write them down in your flight planning notes. We also include this information in the hard copy that accompanies this video so that you can carry it along with the rest of your documents. Now, have a great flight to the Cayman Islands.
Have a real good time. Come to the Cayman Islands. Forget to go and leave the world behind. You may think it's a dream when you wake up in the morning and the air is fresh and clean. You know what I mean? And when it's all said and done, you'll be talking all about this island in the sun. To everyone in return, come to the Cayman Islands, exchange your troubles for some peace of mind. Come to the Cayman Islands, come let me show you how we wine and dine. Come to the Cayman Islands, come meet some people, have a real good time. Come to the Cayman Islands, come get a go and leave the world behind. Come make us show you how we move the waist. Come make us show you how we jump down the place. And if you like to dance and sing, then I show you how to do it.